What's up, all Power Ass crew? Today we're putting this fender on. I'm going to show you how to trim out that inner fender. Come on, show you how it's done. Now before we get this video started, I want to point something out to you. That side over there, I've had it installed for years, okay? I ran the factory fender over here. The Jeep looked warped. So finally, I decided I wanted that fender on. I'm going to an event in a few weeks and I want this Jeep up there. And so I wanted that on there to make it look right. But it'd been so long, I had forgotten where all my cuts were. So I'm referencing this side to cut this side. And yeah, you'll realize that throughout the video. The one thing I would have changed about the way I did this, and you'll see later in the video, this cut right through here. I wish I'd cut it back just a little bit further, because I want to put something behind that grill right there. And in order for me to do that, I'm going to probably take his fender back off and do something right up through here, bring it cut back a little further. You'll see that later in the video. So enough of that gabbing, let's get this fender on. So the cut is actually pretty simple. The main thing of it is that you've got enough lip that when you run your bolts through these fenders that you can catch the original fender below that. I mean, look at the tape measure here, an inch to do it, but I'm gonna push it out to about 1.25 inches. Now, except for the latch here, it comes out quite a bit further, and you've got a brace under your factory fender here. As you can see here, you may end up losing just a little bit of that brace. We'll have to see once we start cutting. But I'm gonna try to leave as much of that brace and hopefully these holes right here, so I got a good place to put my latch in. As you can see here on the driver's side, here's that brace comes through, and I haven't put my latch in yet for like years ago. It tucks up underneath that lip right there. So we'll lose a little bit at the end of this because I can feel the raw edge right there. It's been years since I installed this fender right here. And I've been riding around looking all lopsided for that whole time. Had the shorty fender this side, still had the factory fender that side. Then I keep telling myself, I need to make that video on how to install the steel fenders, the flat fenders. Now as you can see here, I've got these little marks right there. 1.25 inches from here outward. On second thought, because of how that fender fits, because it doesn't tuck all the way up on that lip right there, I'm gonna bring that mark out just a little further. Making me a template of that little area right there where that mesh is. I'm gonna get on a little bit of CAD, then to my 3D printer. I got an idea of something I want to try. Okay, remember that paper template I showed you guys a moment ago? I made this shape. It's gonna come in handy right now for something. Okay, remember this: 2 inches, 2 inches. Okay, 2 inch marks here, 2 inch marks here. So we have it taped in place now, but it does not have to be exact. Okay, we're just using it as a guide right now, because honestly our final cut is going to be closer to being right out in here, because there's some spot welds inside there that your inner fenders up inside there are welded to your outer part of your fenders here, and you're going to leave that part because that gives you a way to fasten your inner fenders to your new steel ones. Most of this right here is going to go away, and most of this up and through here is going to go away. So this right here ain't nothing but a guide. I'm going to trace it out for now. Then once we get that hole established, we'll figure out how much further out we got to cut. So we traced it out, but here's what's going to happen. The cut's actually right along through here, because your inner fender welds to your outer fender right along here somewhere. And this back line right here, that's going to end up going away. It gets cut about right there. So actually all this back through here gets cut out. And probably ended up either right along that line right there, or maybe just a little bit below it to give it a little bit of rigidity or something. We'll just see when we get there. But yeah, it actually gets cut like right like that, taking out this back piece and right along through there and back. But doing that tracing like it just kind of helps me get my visual of where I need to be on this. This driver's side fender, I probably need to adjust it a little bit, because you can tell right there the lip's above the fender, but when it gets up here toward the front, it's actually kind of flush or maybe a little bit under. This side right here needs to be pushed down some, but the problem of it is this Jeep's been wrecked before, so the tub's on a little bit of the warp side. So I may have to do some fancy finagling and just make me some bolt holes, fold that in. I don't know, we'll see what we do when we get there. Get the hardware taken off, marker light, that, and all your trim right here. Get it taken off. Get that stuff out there. So around through here on the back side, you've got a 5/16 screw that goes into a plastic insert that holds those flares on. Then once you get down here, those are 7/16. There, and there's one right up there. They're spinning in the body. I can't get them out. So whenever I start cutting the fenders and stuff, I'm just gonna cut the heads off those suckers and call it a day. Before y'all start getting spastic on me, oh my gosh, he cut up a set of flares. They were junk. They were beat up, ripped, torn. They weren't worth keeping anyway, so the places I was having problems with, I just took a knife and sliced them off. Now I'm gonna do what some people call sneak up on your cuts. What that means is all these lines that I've drawn on this, I'm not gonna cut on those lines, I'll probably cut to the outside of them. So therefore I can work my way back until I got the final cuts I need to fit the fenders correctly. I've got another set of fenders around back, but they're just rusted pieces of crap. They're straight, but they're just really bad surface rusted. But no, they're not for sale. I might buy a YJ one day and want to make a nice street rig. So, and them things just don't come up everywhere. Now that's just a quick example of what I mean. I'm gonna sneak up on my cuts. Right through there is my line that comes for that braces down there for the where the hood latch bolts into. And that is not on my line, but just outside of it a little bit. So as I said, I'm sneaking up on my cuts, and when I do my finals, you know, it'll be a nice clean radius and all kind of fun stuff. So I just want to pause for a moment, show you guys, you know, what I mean by rough cutting it or sneaking up on my cuts. So now I'm going to do some more chopping. There's 2 layers of metal there. A little more progress. Take the bolts out of your fender so you can move it and space it back. Cram you something in there to space it back away from your grill. So these holes here and the one down here will hold the inner fender on when the other fenders, the flat fenders, bolted on. So if I cut it like right along in here, I guess, all the way through there, they'll keep the edge hidden, but yet still have a way to hold it on right here. Yeah, that's what I'm gonna do, yeah. So I pretty much got all the front of this right here cut where I need it. It fits pretty good. I had to take a little bit more off the end of this. And there was a lip on the end of this right here. I took the blade, come in like this right here, and shaved that lip off of it right there. So like I said, I gotta get me something to come here and deburr all that off right there. And I'm gonna get some black spray paint and just spray paint all those edges to seal it up good. I mean, I really don't care what it looks like, but if I can prevent any more rust, I'll do that. So, all right, let's start fitting in the backside. So this obviously 2 layers of metal, so I went ahead and chopped that piece out. Because if you look real close right there, that is spot welds. The metal, the inner fender folds back that way. So it's spot welded inside there, so we need to take the flush cut. And I've already started right here, you can see the line. I need to flush cut it all the way up through there. And you do a flush cut, you take your blade and go to the inside like this right here, and they'll use that inside line to flush out as you come up with it. Not quite yet, but it's getting there. Now really right here you got 2 different choices. You can see right there I drew me a line I'm going to use as my cut line because it's on the other side of those spot welds. But honestly it really doesn't matter. This outside skin right here is spot welded to the inside fender skin. So technically you could come through here and drill out all those spot welds. But I'm going to go ahead and cut this out through here, here, and here. You'll see inside there better, that's what you got to deal with. I'm pretty sure, look at that fender wire that I've already done. I'm going to go all the way back and take out this whole back piece right here where it's bolted to the tub. And there you go, and I found a rag down inside there, so yeah. Right here, this is plastic, so it's a splash guard, keep from junk being thrown up inside here. You're definitely going to catch the smoke and stuff when you hit that, because you see right here where I hit it. And right, see if you see. Well, I'll try to get inside there to show you, but it's just this outer piece right here is just spot welded to this, so it's not a big deal. And cut right down through there, call it a day, be done with it. Right there and there are bolts holding the back side of the fender on. 1/2 inch, get those out of there because we're fixing to take up that whole back section right there. Well, alrighty, my awesome viewers, we're down to the last few cuts. See the black line right here? It's got to go right through there because I got to remove this, at least this outer layer right here. Because when the fender goes in, if this is there, this is flush with the body here. So all that right there is going to have to go, otherwise it's going to hold the fender outward and not allow it to go flush with the body. That lip on the flat fender folds back 90 degrees to bolt to the body here. So this right here's got to be cut. Then all that down through there, see I've got them bolted, all that goes away. Now right there where your fuse block is, see right there, there's some bolts that's supposed to be in there. It might have been missing since I've got the Jeep. You will have to take those out if you pull this fender out some. Normally I'd use the plasma cutter, but I got a lot of stuff going on behind this. That there's my continuous duty solenoid for my winch. That way I can actually turn my winch, physically turn it off, so it doesn't have power going to it at all. And yeah, it's just a lot of junk back there, so I didn't use a plasma cutter. The plasma would have been so much faster. But we got her done. Well, almost. Okay, see, I took out that piece right there. Now I cut this piece right here. And what that's doing for me is I'm just kind of whittling it away, so to speak, because if you try to take a big chunk of it at one time, you're subject to getting to the body, and if you've got a really nice Jeep, you don't want to do that. So just take little pieces at a time till you get the cut complete. Need a little bit more on that one right there. And a few more cuts, and now I can take my blade and go right across that bolt hole right there and take off this lower section. And yeah, my blade skipped. But you know what? Pretty paint causes stress. But just to prevent any kind of funkiness, I'll put some kind of paint over that. I don't think I've got any red, but we'll figure something out. Well, I did find some red paint. I deburred all that right there, down through there, deburred that, cleaned that lip through there, and yep, sprayed me some red on it. And that place right there where my cutter head slipped. Seriously think about doing that whole fender right there. Then see if I can get me some black and I don't know something and paint me some shark teeth back there or something. I don't know. Oh yeah, maybe black all that out and do me some red tipped shark teeth and stuff. That would be cool. I might just do that. And there's one bolt right there that don't have to go back in. It's that bottom one right there. It said snap. Darn it. Well, there ain't nothing but bolting it on now. There's a heck of a gap right here. I'm hoping it'll pull up straight because I'm afraid that fender it made very square. And also those back bolts back here, unless you pull the battery and that right there, they are a beast to get to. I might be able to do it. And like I said, I broke the bottom one, which may be a blessing. Or you got that splash shield through the bottom right there. You might be able to push it out of the way and go up through that way. But I'm going to fight it and see which way I end up doing it. But so I'm going to go ahead and get that fender bolted on. And somewhere I've got some stainless steel like button head bolts type thing that I'm going to put through here, through that lip right through those holes, and make it look a little more purty. And that'll pull the fender up to the that'll pull the inner fender up to the outside fender. And I probably, since this one's actually, hopefully if it lines up in the back there, hopefully if it lines up in the back, this one's going to actually look pretty decent. Looks like it's lined up okay over here in the front. So I may end up getting the other side over and loosen it up and try to realign it. So we'll see. But it's going to get dark here in a few minutes. So I'm going to quit the gabbing on the video and try to bust this out real quick. And so the next time you see me, we might be putting in the stainless steel bolts, the hood latches, and I need to get me another light, another marker light that goes right there. Then figure out what to do with that, because I don't know where the one that came with it, where it came. Well, it pulled up better than I thought it was going to. Not too shabby. Yeah, buddy. Still need to put the bolts in right there to pull that fender in together there. That ain't lining up with the darn. Let me show you why. One could blame that these fenders, well, they just don't fit with the darn. But if you can see, let me go to the other side, maybe you'll see it better. This rig has a body lift. It was on it when I got it. Look at that body mount. It's laying forward. And I just now noticed that whenever I was trying to figure out why is that not fit, because it's doing the same thing over there as it's doing over here. Here's the bolt holes, but they're nowhere near lining up because the grill is setting outward like this. That body mount right there for the grill, instead of the grill sitting like this, the grill is actually sitting like that. Hence the reason those are not lining up. That has nothing to do with the fenders. This Jeep has been beat to death in its prior life before me. Now I can probably get 2 bolts in. I got that one, and I can probably shimmy this one right here around a little bit to make that one work too. And if I do that, I'll call that front good. Because in order for me to fix that, I'll have to pull that whole grill shell off and bend that body mount down there and all kinds of crazy stuff. No. Now if this rig was going to be like, you know, in the shows and being perfectly built and all proper and stuff, then I would sweat it. Well, speaking of sweat, it's cooled down quite a bit though. Haha, look at yonder. Stuck me a screwdriver in that slot and wedged it over, and it pulled that grill back and lined that fender up. Then I got all 4 of those bolts in. Sweet. Now as for the side right here, I got to messing with it a moment ago, but it's like I said, it's starting to get dark on me, and I'm about sunburnt and I'm hungry, so I'll fool with this another day, and it may make it complete this video, but I can make that line up. Because I did get to line up some, but this side's just going to be a little bit more interesting, that's all. And you can tell right there that needs to come up a little bit. So I'm going to tell you a funny little story. I was tightening those bolts up down there, and I was actually cramming my arm down inside there, and it was hurting like crazy. I mean, I was getting in there, but I was like, I'm not pulling all this out. I could suffer through a little bit of pain to get those bolts in, no problem. But what was weird is like every time I stuck my arm down inside, I was like, I'm getting shocked. I feel like I was getting shocked. It felt weird. And I'm sure some of you already see it by now. Yeah, cover's off. I don't even know where the cover's at, and I may have a spare around here somewhere, but that's irrelevant to the point at the moment. That goes to the battery. So my sweaty arms, because it's cooled down quite a bit, but it's still like 90 out of here right now. So my sweaty self was cramming my arm down inside there. Sweat conducts electricity very well. So right here, I was grounded. The other side of my arm was hitting that right there, and my whole arm just felt like I was getting shocked. I mean, I was getting shocked. And the whole time I was having a dub moment, like, why do I feel like I'm getting shocked? I was. If you happen to have an extra set of fenders you want to cut up, or you want to take your fenders off to do the modifications, here's what you do. There was my first cut right here that got between those bolt holes here, which is the cut I did through here. As you can see, the edge of it right there. Now, if you'd rather make your cut from this side, just follow that seam right there. That'll work out just perfect. Now, even if you do follow that seam up, this piece right here, you'll have to trim a little bit of that end off. As you see right there, I took a little bit off and just made a general radius on it to make sure it had no sharp edges. But really, it depends on the fenders as to how far this flat piece cuts back this way, as to how much you may or may not have to take off. Now, as far as your cut down through here, if you remember earlier in the video, I measured outward 1.25 inches that I came out a little bit further out. So I ended up coming out roughly about 1.5 inches. Your cut line will come out like this, then you'll come out around here to save that bracket underneath here for your latch to bolt onto. And then you can come up through here like this. It continues the cut through like this. You want to bring this cut up above this radius, because on the outer skin, remember, there's this skin here, then the inside skin. You got to take out the outside skin, otherwise your steel fender will sit outward. It'll sit on top of the skin here, and it will not sit flush with the tub. You mostly want to pay attention to the lip here outward, because you need to have enough metal coming out here for your bolts to run through to capture your inner fender here and your new steel fenders. As you can see right here, this is the edge, there's the bolt coming through. So you need to make sure you leave enough metal out here that your bolts have plenty of metal to grab hold of to hold everything together. Also, your bracket that holds your hood latch, this will vary depending on the fenders that you're running. I'm running the super shorts here, like the really narrow ones. I had to trim part of that bracket out. And as you can see the bracket right there, I had to trim part of that out because to make room for the fender to fit over everything. Now, if you've got the wide 4-inch or something like that, you're probably gonna leave this whole bracket alone. You should be good to go. If you're running the wide 4-inch fenders, more than likely this will be left intact. Only thing you can do is take the metal here and just flush it out with this, and you should be just fine. Now, earlier in the video, I mentioned that this tab right here, they had to cut it back. I took my blade come in at an angle right here and just cut out this right here to allow the fenders to sit flush. Because that edge where it folds up at 90 degrees is actually just behind the fender right here. So you have to cut that section out to allow your fender to sit flat to your inner fenders. Now, as far as your remaining cut that comes through here along this red tape, this is about right to where I cut mine, but again, I'm running those narrow fenders. If you're running the 4-inch or the 6-inch wide, more than likely you can take your cut out to about right along here and bring it in like this right here and just kind of fade into the cut coming back here. Now, as I mentioned earlier, this outer skin along this radius, it has to go because it will hold your new fenders out past the body. Meaning, if you leave that inside layer, where this is sitting flush with the tub, if you leave that inside layer, it's going to cause this new fender to sit outward and not be flush with the tub. This right here is where it bolts onto the tub. All of it gone. This back edge right here, you see where I've got my tape line. Let me pull it back a little bit so you guys can see what's up. You see you got that metal edge right there? That's going to hit your new fender. So you got to trim it back about 1/4 inch or so, as you see right there. So now let's see if we can get these fenders to line up a little better. Notice the massive gap we got going on here, which means that fender needs to come up. So, and let's see, we got about roughly a pinky thickness, maybe a little more. And if you look how much slop we got left, it looks about right if we can get this loosened up and push that fender up. We're gonna do a little trick with the floor jack and see if we can push that fender up. So first things first, get them bolts loosened up. Just need to loosen them, you don't need them all the way out. I'm actually making the whole Jeep tilt, so it's not working exactly like I thought it would. Yeah, baby, it's working now. So it's all the jack had right there, so I need to space it just a little bit more, but I tightened that bolt up to lock in the progress that we made. Right back. That's all she got. Look at yonder, much better. And this must be because, well, that's all I got. There ain't no more adjustment left. But I can definitely roll with that. I'm good with that. Now this side is going to be a little bit more interesting because the grill is kicked outward like this. Therefore, these are out of whack. And see, technically like this, they're lined up, but the inner fender is dropped down a little bit. So I need to get creative. I've got one bolt holding this side in, so I need to loosen that up. And yeah, probably take the jack and that 2x and see if I can get against this brace right here and push up on the inner fender to line that up. And I'm guessing get me something to get in right here and see if I can rocket fender back that way is my guess. We'll see how that works. We'll find out. Well, that went from bad to worse. As soon as I loosened that sucker up at gap, you could, yeah, golly. That tub is warped. If you really get underneath it and look at the body mounts of the frame, where the body mounts to the frame, those tabs sticking out, there's some of them that are bent. So that tub is actually sitting twisted a little bit. The wheel well gap from rear wheel to here is actually closer on this side than on that side. Again, tub is twisted. Because you can see right here where I've been wheeling, and when I go full stuff on my 35s, yeah, that fender took a beating. So I see a comp cut or something in the near future. So if you got a perfect tub that's straight and everything like that, you probably won't have as much problems. My stuff is warped, so yeah. Let's see if we can straighten this mess out. So as you see, I did this side a little bit different. On that side over there, I actually did cut this part of the inner fenders off and cut it between the two bolt holes, like right back in there. So I have the option of removing the fender and splitting this on back a little further. I'm not doing that because I just don't know. I just ain't gonna. So my elevation here is good. Got my hood gap back where it needs to be. The inner fender needs to go that way. And technically, at that point, I can make all this mess line up. This gap here is a lot tighter than it was, which is a good thing. But before I can put them bolts in, I need this to go back where it needs to be. And so all these bolt holes line up. And so how am I gonna make that happen? Let me scratch my head on this for a moment. I'm making progress. Okay, doing the jack trick, pushing the inner fender into the outer fender here. I'm taking my screwdriver and wedging in between here and shifting the inner fender around to get things lined up. I took this one long bolt to kind of help keep things aligned when I got it in there, because this piece right here is sitting outward so far. That enabled me to get that bolt in right there. So what I've got left to do, I need to push that inner fender up just a little bit more. So what I'm thinking about doing is taking my jack down, give me a shorter 2x, so I can hook on that edge right there and push it up. Then push the fender with my screwdriver, get it inside here like so. I think a big old long honk screwdriver to get in here and just shimmy things around to get it lined up. And again, I want to express to you guys, if you buy these fenders right here and you're thinking, hey, it's going to be this hard to deal with, I ain't going to do it. This Jeep is warped. Just remember that. So whenever you're stressing out thinking, oh no, I don't know if I can do all that, odds are, if you've got a straight Jeep, this will be a much easier job for you. But me going through all these issues and me videoing these issues for you will help you overcome anything that you may have come across. At least that's my line of thinking. Yeah. So yeah, I'm trying my best to show you guys how to do this the right way, you know, by taking jacks and screwdrivers and shimmy this that way, push it this way, and take a hammer and do it away my lamb, beat things around. What I'm trying not to do is just taking a drill bit and just cut the clearance hole through that sheet metal right there and calling it a day. Trying to give you guys a little bit of education here, and it's getting kind of cumbersome. Phew, got it. So basically I had to take this, of course, with the floor jack, and where it's positioned now, it was pushing it up and back at the same time, to see how the 2x kind of angled. That pushed the inner fender just enough that I could get that bolt started. And so that right there, I just need to run them on in. But before I do that, I'm going to drill and put some bolts in this right here, because that will allow the inner fender to come up flush with the outer fender here before I lock those bolts down. Now I've got a bolt bend back there, and I've got a crap ton of these things right here, so I'm going to go ahead and put these in for the moment. Later on I'm going to change them out to stainless steel, because I bought some especially for this purpose to go in here, and I have no idea where I'll put them. So as sure as I go to the hardware store and buy some more stainless steel ones, I'll find them. So yeah, for now these will work. 1/4 inch drill bit, drill those holes out. Now right here, you put bolts in right there as well if you want to, but guess what, I'm not going to do right now. So if you want to do that, you can. Go for it. Walk up to the front porch, go get another battery. I got Amazon. I know what it is. It's PLA green translucent for my 3D printer. Close the hood. Checking my gap. Gap looks good. Go ahead and lock them bolts down right there. Got the fender locked down in place, front and rear. But now we need the hood latch. So come here from the bottom, and you can see right there and there is the hole for the hood latches. 1/4" drill bit, but I'm going to swap to a smaller drill because this DeWalt is a whole lot of room between the tire and up in there. So I'm going to switch to a smaller drill. You take a larger drill bit and just barely touch it and shave off those things sticking up that'll cut you. Earlier in the video, I told you guys I couldn't find my stainless steel hardware. Guess what I found? Got them. Which means I'll be replacing these with these. And these are what I was referring to. You just simply take an Allen head, go right there. Then on the bottom side, these are 1/4" threads. These stainless steel 1/4" nuts have a nylon insert right there that prevents them from backing out. Now, if y'all need some of these bolts right here, I'm going to drop a link down below the video where you guys can order some. But along with those bolts and nuts, I'll include a lot of the other materials that I used in doing this project. The cutting blade I used to do this trim work with, those Linux Metal Max blades, those things are the bomb. I've used that same blade for well over a year now, and it still walks through the sheet metal like it's butter. So check for the links below. Check it out. Since I straightened that grill out, getting these fenders put on, now my overlay. This is one of those chrome overlays that comes on some Jeeps. I painted bed liner on it like a gazillion years ago. And yeah, now it won't sit flat on it. But since I got both sides bolted up like they're supposed to be, it pulled that bottom in. And, yeah. This overlay right here, it's about to go bye-bye. I'm about to get rid of it because I got something very, very cool I'm about to do with that grill. It's just going to be awesome. It's going to be awesome. Yes. Y'all chill out. Chill out. I'm not going to cut my YJ grill. Not on this one. The rust bucket, that's another story, but that's a later video way on down the road. I'll be removing that stainless steel overlay right there, but I'm going to be doing some cool paint work to it. It's going to be awesome. Yes. And also in the not too distant future, I'm going to be replacing my turn signals here with light pods that has the amber light inside of it. So I have turn signals along with my clear light pods that's going to shine, illuminate everything in front of me. Yes, yes, yes. I know that's a model a lot of people have done, but I've got a trick up my sleeve that you guys haven't seen yet. But not only the awesomeness of the grill mod I'm going to be doing, I'm redesigning that front bumper right there. I did that back years ago out of a bunch of scrap metal. And now that I've had it for a while, don't get me wrong, it works and it's super tough. I banged that bumper against so many rocks, it's crazy. It's tough. It ought to be, because underneath it's built out of 1/4" and 3/16, and yeah, it's tough. But I'm not a fan of the functionality of it, and it looks like a cardboard box at the very, just ugly. So yeah, I'm going to be doing some mods to this front bumper. I'm fabricating everything. And yeah, cool stuff coming up. And there's a little sneak peek of rust buckets build right now. Earlier in the video, I told you guys I couldn't find my stainless steel hardware. Guess what I found? Got them. Which means I'll be replacing these with these. And these are what I was referring to. You just simply take an Allen head, go right there. Then on the bottom side, these are 1/4" threads. These stainless steel 1/4" nuts have a nylon insert right there that prevents them from backing out. Now, if y'all need some of these bolts right here, I'm going to drop a link down below the video where you guys can order some. But along with those bolts and nuts, I'll include a lot of the other materials that I used in doing this project. The cutting blade I used to do this trim work with, those Linux Metal Max blades, those things are the bomb. I've used that same blade for well over a year now, and it still walks through the sheet metal like it's butter. Ooh, looky there, shiny. I went ahead and swapped them out. Only shiny spot on the whole Jeep. Kind of like putting lipstick on a pig, ain't it? Everyone, if you enjoyed this video, give me a thumbs up. Subscribe if you haven't. Leave us cool comments down below. Peace. Later, y'all.